Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Gabrielle Ray and I present cases of unsolved homicides, missing persons, and the unidentified. Today I will be presenting the triple disappearance of Sasha Davis, Selah Davis, and Jarib Bennett, who have been missing out of Bronx, New York since February 15th, 2008. Sasha was born on April 13th, 1977. She is a black female who stands at 5'5" to 5'7" and weighs 120 pounds. She has black hair and brown eyes and was 30 years old at the time of her disappearance. Her ears were pierced and she has a mole near her right eye. She has tattoos on her left breast and right calf and has medium-length hair. Selah was born on October 20th, 2007. She is a black female who stood at 2 foot tall and weighed 20 pounds. She had black hair and brown eyes, and she was 3 months old at the time of her disappearance. Jarib was born on March 1st, 1980. He was a black male who stood at 5'11" and weighed 215 to 230 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes and was nicknamed Griff. He was 27 years old at the time of his disappearance. Sasha and Selah lived in New York City and Jarib lived in New Jersey. Jarib was a family friend of Sasha's family, and Sasha ended up leaving behind another daughter who was 8 years old at the time of her disappearance. And I was unclear on this information, but she also left either a boyfriend or a husband behind as well. Jarib left behind his wife and 2 daughters at the time of his disappearance. I also want to throw in this little tidbit of information that I also saw that their date of disappearance was on February 19th, 2008, as opposed to February 15th. But I'm going to go with February 15th because that's what most of the articles and the sites say online. Sasha and her daughter Selah and friend Jarib Bennett left the New York City borough of the Bronx en route to Rochester, New York. The group was en route to Rochester, New York to visit friends and planned to return on February 19th. But they ended up never returning, and they went to Rochester to visit high school friends. Sasha's family said that they were unaware that Jarib took the trip with Sasha and Selah. On February 27th, 2008, their rental vehicle that they were in was found abandoned on Genesee Street in southwest Rochester near the area of Genesee Valley Park. The car was a 2008 Hyundai rental. Their families both stated that it was uncharacteristic of them to leave without warning, and there was little evidence available in these disappearances. A missing persons report was filed 1 week later on February 22nd, 2008. They are considered missing under suspicious circumstances. Sasha's aunt, Gwendolyn Hardy, hasn't slept well since the disappearances and is anxious to know what happened to her niece and also her daughter and her friend. Hardy ended up traveling several hours to Rochester with Sasha's cousin, Debbie Ann Wilson, and about 14 other friends and relatives. The group canvassed the area looking for information on these disappearances. They distributed flyers along Genesee Street and Bartlett Street and Jefferson Avenue asking for help. We gave out flyers all over. Some people said that they would be praying, said Gwendolyn. Debbie knew that she was going on a vacation but did not know that she was heading to Rochester. Sasha shouldn't have even left the Bronx. I don't care what she was coming to do. She should have thought about her health. She just had a baby. She shouldn't have left, said Gwendolyn. The group ended up going multiple times to Rochester, looking for clues, and planned to continually visit the area until they were found. Jarib's friends and family are also desperately seeking answers as to what happened to him. "No way, something's definitely wrong," said Jarib's family member, Lydia Bennett. "Their car was found abandoned here. That only leads us to believe that they've been here and they're missing from here," said Lydia. Jarib's friends interviewed people, and they also said that they did not know what happened. "We are tracking down any leads that we have," said investigator Thomas Donovan of the Rochester Police Department. "Police are investigating this as a missing persons case and would not say if foul play was suspected." Friends believe that the community knows something, and they came to the town for a direct plea for help. "People need to think of this. Like, what would they do if their family member was missing?" said Trisha Ann McIntosh, a family friend. "We don't know what happened that day. We don't know what led up to their disappearance, but all we know is that they never left Rochester," said Trisha. "These are people who have families who love and care about them, and who would not just get up and vanish off the face of the earth," said Lydia. "I'm just hoping that they come back alive. We just need some closure," said Debbie. Gwendolyn also has not given up hope, but is quote-unquote preparing for the worst. A year after the disappearances, Gwendolyn says, "She's gone. I have her 9-year-old. She wouldn't stay away from her daughter. I think she may be dead." The families also say that hearing no news is the hardest part. Friends and family have been unsuccessful in trying to draw more coverage from the media and believe that race has a role to play in it. If it's white people, they do all kinds of stuff. It's all over the TV. It's a never-ending story. Media coverage would help a lot of people, but they didn't hear about this case. You go on the internet and type in Sasha Davis and we see stuff from last year. It's like the case is dead, said Debbie. The family support systems have not given up hope yet, but the disappearances have taken a harsh toll on their family members. "I just need help. I need somebody to help me. I just want to know where they are to get closure," said Gwendolyn. Sherry Parks, the Associate Professor of the American Studies at the University of Maryland at College Park and author of Fierce Angels, The Strong Black Woman in American Life and Culture, told AOL Black Voices that the discrepancy in coverage is wrapped up in a myth about black women that we perpetuate. It plays into a larger national narrative as to who is perceived as needing rescuing. Despite the advances of feminism and larger roles of white women, there is still a national narrative of vulnerable young white women, said Parks. Black people are invested in an idea of strong black women and that black women should be able to take care of themselves. Black women need to take control of the image and recognize their strengths and dangers. It's dangerous if people think that you can do it all by yourself and you don't need the help. The most successful women have support systems, said Sherry Parks. There is a $5,000 reward available from the family members, and Crime Stoppers is also offering an additional $5,000 reward. Friends paid for a billboard on West Broad Street with 3 large pictures of the missing people, along with their height, weight, and descriptions, and a notice of the $10,000 reward. The billboard will hopefully keep the situation fresh in everyone's mind because we can't forget that they're missing. We need to do what it takes to get them home safe, said Sonia Forbes, a family friend. Sasha would be 43 years old today. Selah would be 12 years old today. And Jarib would be 40 years old today. Unfortunately, that is all the information I could find on the triple disappearance of Sasha, Selah, and Jarib. But what we can gain from the knowledge of this disappearance is the fact that they are still missing and that people are still looking for them and that this case needs coverage. I could only find very seldom media coverage on this triple disappearance, and one came from a Google image of a clipping from a newspaper, and it wasn't very long after the disappearance itself. There has been no recent articles about this case, and it honestly sickens me because these people are still missing, and if race is playing a role in this, it shouldn't matter. It is 2020, for God's sake. At this point, people shouldn't be thinking about race as something that is a defining factor of somebody. You know, I can't get over the fact that racism still exists in 2020. And if race did play a role in the fact that there is barely any coverage on this disappearance, it absolutely sickens me. And it's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking all around because not many people know about this case. In this case, if it were 3 white people who went missing on a trip from the Bronx to Rochester, it would be all over the national news. And just like the Springfield 3, or even a case that I am going to cover, I'm not going to say which one because I'm going to cover it in another video, but I'm not going to go into detail about it, I should say. It is the case of Bonnie Drain, and she went missing with 2 of her friends, and I will be covering that triple disappearance in another video. But more people know about these cases than this case that I am covering today, and I truly believe that this case needs coverage, because without knowledge of this case, without knowing the facts, without knowing about this case, no tips will ever be provided, because who knows? Somebody who is watching this video, I live in Buffalo, New York. Rochester, New York is not that far from where I live. Somebody could watch this video and say, hey, I saw something at a specific time. I saw this car. I saw somebody driving this car. I saw Selah. I saw Jarib. I saw Sasha. I saw somebody, you know, when what might be what you think is a small, you know, irrelevant thing may end up being the clue that breaks the case wide open. And I stress that in every video because you never know what could happen in one of these cases, especially if this video hits the right person and they have tips that they could provide to investigators that hopefully will give the family some kind of closure, even though it's been 12 years since they disappeared. If you or anybody you know have any information on this case, please contact the New York City Police Department Missing Persons Squad at 212-694-7781. Sasha's agency case number, as well as Selah and Jarib's, they all have the same agency case number, and that is 08-3236. Sasha's NCMEC case number is MP10844. Selah's NCMEC number is MP7428. And Jarib's NCMEC information is MP10846. I stress to you because this case actually really hits me where it hurts, because there was no coverage. I could barely find any information on this case, but I felt that it is so important to cover this case because these people need voices. They their voices to be heard. And it just really breaks my heart that there is such a lack of media coverage on this case. It just breaks my heart, and knowing that the family members are still out there searching for them and are still heartbroken, wondering what happened in Rochester that day. Did they even make it to Rochester? What happened with the car? Who was in the car? What happened to them after they got out of the car? Or was the car ditched? There's so many questions that are going through the family's mind at this time, and none of them can be answered without direct knowledge of what happened. So if you or anybody you know have any information, I am begging you to come forward. Once again, Sasha was born on April 13th, 1977. She is a black female who stands at 5'5" to 5'7", weighs 120 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. She has her ears pierced and a mole near her right eye, and tattoos on her left breast and right calf, and medium-length hair. Selah was born on October 20th, 2007. She was 2 foot tall and weighed 20 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. She's a black female who would be 12 years old today, and she was 3 months old at the time of her disappearance. Sasha was 30, and she would be 43 today. And Jarib was born on March 1st, 1980. He is a black male who stands at 5'11" and weighs 215 to 230 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He was 27 years old at the time of his disappearance, and his nickname was Griff. He would be 40 years old today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you share this video, and I hope that this case gets the coverage it deserves. Thank you again, and have a wonderful night.